This is Astro Titan 94, and tonight you are tuning in to the Toku and Anime Night podcast. Okay, so tonight's Toku and Anime Night. Fuck. Okay, so tonight's podcast, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, will be about, of course, the event that I went over the weekend, simply known as AnimeVerse 2025. It was held at the NRG Center in Houston, Texas. And this was the first con that I went this year. Of the many conventions that I've went throughout my years, in fact, I've been going to cons since 2023. But and of course, I kept that ball. I kept the number of cons that I wanted to go, continuing alive. Um, so, especially the new year. So, when it comes down to this event that I want to talk to you guys about, I want to do the following. I want to talk about actors that I met, um, which there were plenty, but like the actors that I've met, I want to speak about them and my overall, you know, and of course, some of the panels that I participated, some of these names that I will mention in a bit had their panel. And what did I even ask them, as well as cosplayers, any cosplayers, like some of the local ones that I've seen, and ones that I actually have done pictures with at social media. Also, in today's episode, I will actually give you guys a happy belated birthday to one of the voice actors that, of course, is well known for one of my favorite animes out there. And I will also be talking about what happened at another convention in in Maryland. And finally, I will give you guys my top I will give you guys a top 5. Yeah, a top 5 in a podcast. But don't worry, it's going to be like one of those brief top 5s, not like like a top 5s that are like kind of like an essay to hear, or you're just disinterested in it, or and no, I'm not going to make this into a Watch Mojo like channel. Though I don't mind doing top 5s or top 10 stuff, but I'd rather just do convention videos and podcasts. And before anyone asks, um, my con vlog video, I am working on that. I'm going to be working on that after this episode. So, um, so yeah. With that being said, and in addition, I will upload the first 2 episodes of the Toku and Anime Night podcast on my Patreon channel, and this episode will also be uploaded on my Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, um, when it comes down to Patreon, I happen to have one. Um, Of course, a lot of the content that you'll see is for free, but if you want to contribute to this channel, or if you want to contribute to my Patreon, I have 3 tiers. $1 tier if if you want to give only a little bit of money. $5, and of course it's affordable, the most affordable you could of course spend. $5, if you want, if you want to give like like a little bit of it, like $4 more to this to what I do, and $10 tier if you want to give like more than like $9 more if you want. Um, and yeah, that's the $10 tier is going to be mostly the most expensive, but again, if you feel like donating, then there you go. I also happen to have a coffee. If you want to donate to that one, I will. Yeah, I don't mind accepting the $3 donations. But at the same time, though, I also happen to have goals that I want to do in terms of later cosplay projects and anything else. Um, in particular, this past weekend, I did go to the convention. I did buy myself some props for future cosplays that I intend to do. Um, in fact, one of those cosplays that I'm going to be doing this weekend will be not this weekend, or for some time in the future, if you guys want to contribute, is from City Hunter, and that will be the main protagonist, Ryo Saeba. So, if you guys want to contribute to that one, if you guys want to contribute to my Patreon and to my coffee, the links will be down in the description below. And also follow me on the various social media sites that I intend to have. Um, I have a Facebook page, which I do intend to post content on that page more so. Um, Instagram, I'm mostly active on Instagram. Threads, definitely active there. Um, and that's it. And no, Twitter. And no, I will not be opening a Twitter or an X account. No, no, I am not opening those. I am not I do not want to deal with, the crazy stuff from Twitter or X. Like I don't want to deal with that. Nah, no, 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 no. All right. So, with that being said, let's actually talk about a little bit about this event that I went. So, first, I need to explain what AnimeVerse is. Yeah, judging by the name, it is an anime convention. And guess what? You guys are correct. It is an anime con. And yeah, they've been doing this since I think 2023 or 2022. I don't recall, but when it comes down to Animeverse, I've this was my first time that I ever gone to the NRG show um this ever. I mean, I've gone to several cons. I did go to well, okay, I did go technically this is my second Animeverse that I ever attended, but the second Animeverse was held at another venue um just nearby Pasadena in Texas. And of course, I definitely met some actors like Joshua Seth. But but when it comes down to a lot of the cons that I've gone to several. I've gone to I've gone to Anime Matsuri's 2023 and 2024. I've gone to TCG Con 2023 and 2024, with 2024 being the first ever convention that I ever covered on this channel. In fact, um, a year ago today on Valentine's Day 2024, I actually uploaded my very first YouTube video. Um, and it was about that event. And yeah, and I decided that I would continue to do the convention videos, talk about them. So, when it comes down to several of these events and conventions, yeah, they're mostly held at most of them are held at the big convention centers. In fact, here in Houston, there's the Energy Center nearby, nearby of course the 610 highway, South Loop. Um, then there's of course downtown Houston's George R. Brown Convention Center. But there are all the but sorry, I got fucking tongue twister right there. But in addition, there have been other conventions outside of those two buildings, and they were either held like at smaller conventions, like at the Pasadena Convention Center, or in local hotels, or like in like a small little or one of those like nearby Marriott hotels. Yeah, one of them big old Marriott places. So, or like like they mostly held like gala, like small time galas and whatnot. You know, but of course, yeah, and of course, anime conventions have been held there. So, Animeverse was a convention that I attended for the first time this year. in terms of the NRG show. I did go to AnimeVerse 2024 Fall Edition, but I did technically record some of the video, but never made anything of it. But I did at least, but I did at least meet Joshua Seth. But this year, though, I didn't really meet him at this event that I'm about to talk about. Rather, I met well, rather I did met someone from the Digimon cast this year. Um, her name is Colleen O'Shaughnessy, and in case you don't know who that is, she happens to be the voice of Sora from Digimon. But but you will remember her more for for Tails the Fox from the from the various Sonic the Hedgehog shows, animes, and even the movies, especially Sonic 3, which originally she was meant to attend the 2024 NostalgiaCon show at George R. Brown in December of 2024, but unfortunately for her, she missed out on the show. And the reason was because she was working. In fact, she was actually doing stuff for Sonic 3. So, yeah. Um, and by the way, Sonic 3 is a far better movie than Mustafa. All right? I don't care. You know what? Disney just does stupid things, okay? I do not get why Disney decided, oh yeah, let's make sure Sonic 3 is banned from all theaters. You know what Disney's afraid of competition. You know what? That's why I don't like Disney as much. All right? Disney, you've done some stupid things in the past before, but the Sonic 3 film being banned because you're afraid that your Mustafa film was going to lose in the box office and ratings. That one takes the cake, but I'm not here to talk about Disney, okay? All right, Disney, as much as I don't like you at times, I'm sparing you for now because I got to talk about an anime convention that I went, and I will continue to talk so because of course Colleen is not the only person that I've met at the con. She was not the only she was not the only person from the Sonic the Hedgehog series that I met. In fact, I was able to even meet Jason Griffith, aka Sonic the Hedgehog and Shadow the Hedgehog from the Sonic X shows and a lot of the Sonic the Hedgehog content that was mostly done by the voice actors of 4Kids Entertainment. So yeah, um definitely people know Jason for Sonic the Hedgehog and Shadow the Hedgehog. In fact, where is my damn Chaos Emerald? Well, okay, I botched the word. I botched the sentence on that one. But you know who he is. You know who he is well known for. And people like him more as Shadow than Sonic. Because, well, let's face it, a lot of us, not me, by the way, played Shadow the Hedgehog. A lot of people like the game despite criticisms saying otherwise, hey, if people enjoy it, then who am I to say anything, right? But but as well as this, I did meet people who. Oh yeah, and speaking of Griffith, I did meet his fellow Four Kids actor. I did meet his fellow Four Kids actor. Yeah, his fellow Four Kids actor. His fellow Four Kids actor, who also did a lot of other content, not just Sonic. I don't know if he ever did Sonic the Hedgehog, but I do know him more for Yu-Gi-Oh. Whether it was Duke Devlin and his Dungeon Dice monsters, and and Valen from season 4 with the Cockney accent. Although many of us thought at the beginning he was an Aussie, not not the Cockney side of Britain. Um, and of course, also well known as Chaz Princeton and Astral from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. I'm talking of, oh, and Casey Jones from the 2003 TMNT show, the Ninja Turtles animated show. I am, of course, talking about Mark Thompson. I did meet the guy. Um, in addition, I also did meet Philip Andrew, uh, who he and Mark, they do share the same agency. Um, Of course, Philip Andrew, if you guys are a Power Rangers fan, then you guys know that this guy was from the he actually was involved in the 2002 Power Rangers Wild Force season. In fact, he played Merrick and Zanaku in terms of Merrick, Zanaku, the dark man. I'll talk about Wild Force another time. But for now, he is well remembered as the Lunar Wolf Ranger. He's sort of like a Silver Ranger, but he's got like dark blue elements to him, and he has a wolf theme to him too. Um, and I've actually met him before at TCG Con 2024 last year, but this year I met him again. Though I didn't take any selfies or anything like that, but I did stop by to his booth and said hi to him because, well, technically his booth alongside with Mark Thompson's booth were kind of like lonely a bit. But it's only because a lot of us, well, a lot of the people who attended the show really wanted to see the likes of Sean Shamel, aka Goku, um Johnny Young Bosch, aka Adam from Power Rangers, who I will talk about his season 2 show and his time in the second season of Mighty Morphin at some point. Um, oh, and he was also Nate from Yokai Watch, or Naito from Yokai Watch in terms of the English dub. And speaking of the Yokai Watch English VAs, I've also met Joey DeAria, who voiced Whisper in the show, but people will know him more as Bozo the Clown from the late '80s till early 2000s. Bozo the Clown on WGN TV's Chicago station, um, which is actually it's actually right now a CW affiliate. So yeah, Doria definitely. I did meet him. Um, I did meet the guy, of course. He was the person who would supersede Bob Bell for in terms of the Bozo the Clown character. Um, so yeah, I was glad to meet at least someone who played the iconic clown himself from a very well known iconic clown. The one of the most iconic TV clowns out there. Um, yeah, I know some people are like, wait, Bozo the Clown, I don't know who that is. Well, yeah, don't worry. I didn't knew who he is back then, back when I was a kid, but eventually I started discovering him in the teens later on. I didn't really watch the show as much, but he was a popular thing in the United States throughout the time. And yeah, I am talking about Bozo the Clown. But names that you might actually be recognizable in the United States, even through today, that you guys know. Definitely, I met the follow some of the much more well known actors. Young Melee, I actually stopped by at his booth. And if you guys don't know who Young Melee is, that is C.J. Carl Johnson, the main protagonist of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I was glad to meet him. In fact, this is the second ever time that I ever met a GTA character, a GTA main character, excuse me, from from one of the popular from the GTA game series. Um, yeah, who was the first? Ned Luke, the voice of Michael DeSanta from the game of Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, the video game Grand Theft Auto 5. And I actually even did like a selfie with him. You could check some of the stuff out on my Instagram. In fact, it was part of the whole 2024 NostalgiaCon in Houston, and I even have an autograph of his, featuring his famous quote from that mission where he act from the mission where Michael would rob a jewelry store. Basically, the whole basically his comeback. And of course, in addition to that, I also met Kira Buckland, who, in case you guys are wondering, that's the voice actress for. She is the VA for the English dub of Demon Slayer's own Mitsuri, and also, in addition, uh, Tubi from Nier Automata. Of course, I was glad to meet her. I even got an autograph of hers, and oh my god, it's a shame that. And originally, I had a selfie with her at the event, but oh my god, my phone really wanted to not cooperate. In fact, I did have to take her the picture taken, but oh my god, the picture the picture became corrupt. It was like, ah damn it. Oh my god, I can't even share this with everyone. It's like, yeah, it happens at times, but and yeah, there was some footage that I did, but luckily I brought additional cameras, but sadly I didn't take another selfie with Kira, but at least I did get an autograph of hers, and that is the to be autograph. In fact, I'll show you guys that at my convlogs video. But and finally, one actor that you do guys know, and I did had at least a chat with the guy, but not at his booth because it was a long line for his booth, but at his panel, his 11 o'clock panel, it was none other than Troy Baker. The Troy Baker, he's actually a lot of people know him from a lot of video games, movies, and TV shows. In fact, you might you in fact, he does voice several anime characters, but he's also done probably one of my favorite video game titles, and that would be the Saints Row games. Though the Saints Row the Third and Saints Row 4. Um, he also would voice Batman in one of the many DC video games, and basically, holy shit, he has one of the best voices out there that I like. Oh my god, his voice, it yeah, like I definitely like his voice. Yeah, he actually did like I said, he has done animes. He's done Dragon Ball, he's done Naruto, he's done Bleach. He's done a lot of shows. In fact, I'd say he's he's practically like Steve Bloom. Like like he's like a modern Steve Bloom. Or well, actually, no, Steve Bloom is still around. Yeah, Steve Bloom is still doing voice acting, but like holy shit, like Troy Baker, he's done a lot of stuff just like Steve Bloom. In fact, he's still currently around doing conventions, but of course he's also done the Earthspark show, Transformers Earthspark as Shockwave. But oh yeah, and of course he did only for like 3 small episodes. But he's done a lot of other shows like Scooby Doo, like the later dubs, the later Transformers dubbing of the shows. In fact, he even did he also did, of course, shows like Clarence from Cartoon Network, GI Joe, Renegades. Um, like the list goes on for this guy. I, in fact, In fact, I definitely love this guy's voice acting. Definitely worth listening to. He is indeed Batman and Joker. So yeah, he's actually voiced the Cape Crusader and Gotham's most dangerous um, criminal out there. In fact, way more dangerous than the Penguin or far more dangerous than the Riddler. Batman's true nemesis, his true arch enemy, his bane of existence. Not and no, I'm not talking about. And no, I'm not talking about Bane the muscular dude. I'm talking about like the metaphorically bane of Batman's existence. Joker. Definitely Joker and Batman, they are they are two big rivals. Bigger than Yugi versus Kaiba. Bigger than Sonic the Hedgehog versus Robotnik or Eggman. As some people want to correct me, yeah, I am. Look, I don't care if he's called Eggman or Robotnik. I call him whatever based on what show I watched. So please do not at me, folks. And yeah, and of course, yeah, and I was glad that I met the guy at his panel. In fact, I was the first person to even ask him a question. In fact, I asked him a question about what was his thoughts on Volition, the company that make the Saints Row games, actually shutting down. And I'm gonna explain briefly on what Volition Studios, on when Volition Studios shut down. But in case you guys don't know who Volition Studios are, they are a studio. They are an American gaming company, or were a video gaming company in the United States. But unfortunately, unfortunately, Volition Games or Volition Studios shut down recently in the year. They would shut down a while back. In fact, they were founded in 1993, but they would shut down in 20. But they would end up getting shut down in 2023. Basically due to basically due to something. Yeah, due to some yeah, a lot of people say it was the reboot of Saints Row that of course killed the idea off. In fact, and yeah, and before anyone asks, I did play the reboot of Saints Row. It wasn't a bad game to be honest, but I can see why people did not like this game, especially that I was also someone who played the first Saints Row and Saints Row 2 video game, and they were actually and those games actually, and Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2, they were well beloved. But the Saints Row 3, it wasn't a bad game, though I can hear some people not liking it as much. Saints Row 4, it was a mixed bag, but the Agents of Mayhem title was not exactly the best title out there. In fact, it was a Saints Row spin-off, it was also but it also had its fair issues. But the reboot itself was probably the one that really killed everything for the company. But and and he did of course talk about this at the in a way, of course how Volition they would go bankrupt because of what happened. Um But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the whole Saints Row reboot actually affecting Volition. It was also the whole decline in the video gaming industry in terms of in terms of what was happening in the pictures in terms of the 2020s. In fact, yeah, the year 2020, a lot of us couldn't go anywhere because worldwide shutdown, and of course sadly we had to spend most of our days just either doing or most of us would have to do jobs remotely online, or or with the exception of some other workers who do work outside, but there was like a lot of like limitations on all that garbage. And boy, oh boy, we do not want to go back to those times. But, and I know some people might tell me never say never, but in this case, never should be said for for what kind of hell we dealt with in 2020. I am not kidding. 2020 was a hellish year. So hellish that even the devil himself suddenly took pity on us. Well, anyways, but yeah, and of course, but when 2021 and later years happened, when when people were starting to like, of course, when people were starting to like when a lot of people were actually were they were heading out now to like, oh, they were going out more and stuff. Definitely there was that. Yeah, definitely there was not. Yeah, definitely there was a little bit less people that played video games as much. In fact, a lot of people would play video games in terms of entertainment, or even watch digital streaming shows on Netflix or Tubi or whatever. But Troy Baker, he goes on in detail in terms of what had happened in terms of the industry, the entertainment industry and gaming industry following the 2020 year. Yeah, as things were getting back to normal in terms of the real world. Yeah, the entertainment and gaming industry took some unfortunate circumstances. Yeah, he did comment on that one, and hopefully one day, yeah, and if anybody had ever like recorded his like his panel, his 11 o'clock panel, 11 o'clock central panel, yeah, yeah, I hope to share that, or if somebody did, or if you did, or somebody happens to upload it on YouTube and they share it to me, well, yeah, hopefully. And no, I didn't do any panel recordings this year. In fact, recording panels is tough for me. In fact, probably the biggest mistake was recording it while I was sitting with the crowd. But yeah, I hated. Yeah, I think well, actually, no, I would like to go for it again, but try to change things a little bit. But if I don't, then oh well. At least the Yu-Gi-Oh panel was the only panel that I was glad to do in terms of recording. But for now, yeah, doing panels at times, especially in a crowd full of people, and sometimes you have like and sometimes you have like noise like you don't want it to hear, but unfortunately, it gets stuck even on the fucking microphone. And yeah, unfortunately, it happens. But that was not the only panel that I did or did attend, excuse me. In fact, I attended the Sonic the Hedgehog panel featuring Colleen O'Shaughnessy of course, Jason Griffith. In fact, I did ask them about their thoughts on the Digimon series in general and in the Yu-Gi-Oh series in general. Um yeah, for Colleen, Digimon was like the first anime she ever did. In fact, yeah, and she did explain on how it was different in terms of regular animation, or animation that was done mostly in the U.S. In terms of bringing over anime into the United States, in terms of the English dub, like like on how these characters would speak and all that. And with Jason Griffith, technically, yeah, yeah, he has done Yu-Gi-Oh shows. In fact, I did ask him about Yu-Gi-Oh, and boy, did he tell me that yeah, some of the voicing sessions that he had done for Yu-Gi-Oh, damn, really screwed up his throat. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes the voice actors, voice box. Yeah, their voice. Yeah, their throat can often get screwed over depending on what they want. Like depending on probably the direction of the show or what they were going for and such. But yeah, maybe for yeah, Jason probably Jason did kind of like dealt with like voicing issues at that time too. Yeah, and hey, I mean, yeah, and yeah, rather unfortunate to hear that. But hey, I was glad that I got to ask them the questions. Uh, yeah, there was other panels like the One Piece panel and Dragon Ball panel, but I was unable to do those. The Dragon Ball panel, well, I couldn't. Well, it was definitely full of people. Obviously, Dragon Ball is always going to be high demanding, and One Piece. At 12, I ate lunch, so yeah, and I really wanted to take a break from the walking at the conventions. So yeah, there is so yeah yeah only the Sonic and of course the Troy Baker panel were the only two panels that I ever partook. Now, whenever I wasn't checking on on the actors, or even on the or even like on the whole what's it, or even like are going into panels, I did go to like okay booths that would of course have people would have people involved doing like okay they were selling like their like okay anime figures anime figures plushies um art their art book a lot of anime artists like a lot of like artists out there selling like okay like their artworks of certain characters they've done whether it was Yu-Gi-Oh related, Dragon Ball related, Pokemon related, of course yeah, and of course other stuff I did. Yeah, and as well as maybe like okay some anime content that's a little bit more on the H type. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, yeah, very NS, well, very let's just say, yeah, let's just say you had to be 18 or 21 years to watch that show, those specific animes, and well, yeah, no, don't worry, they didn't sell like the DVDs and stuff like that, but but there were some people that did sell like okay the like okay like some like art books or dojins of specific or like dojin mangas of those specific thing of those specific characters doing stuff that you well again I cannot say for safety reasons but let's just say stuff that in their show they would never do because well that show is not aimed to that show was not meant yeah the show was not meant to really do that now was it so yeah it was kind of like oh fan someone's fan fiction stuff but nonetheless there was some cool stuff that I did see and enjoy outside of the actors and panels um uh I did buy some things at the event outside of the autograph. In fact, I did buy like props for future cosplays that I intend to do. There were in fact like in some anime cons they would sell like people would sell like okay um very like fake like very like 3D printed fake firearms not they're definitely not real and they even oh yeah and they don't have like holes or anything and they have the orange safety cap because well because well, we've had people before going into conventions with well, with literally dangerous weapons and stuff. And well, there was also that one time that Jason David Frank almost died in 2016 because someone really wanted to kill him. And well, yeah, I really do not. Yeah, I really don't know why people acted that way. And you know what? And you know what? Shame on that guy. Shame, and I'm glad, and you know what? I'm glad they and I'm glad people, and you know what? I'm glad, of course, I'm glad that the law enforcement catched his ass. Better yet, he blabbed about it on social media, which, well, you know what? That's all. That's gonna get you into trouble. But yeah, nonetheless, I did buy like prop weapons, like prop firearms, so I can actually do like future cosplays of them. In fact, um, one of them is a Colt 45 3D printed gun, and I tend to do a cosplay of Ryo Saeba from City Hunter. In fact, this is one of the props that I found it, and I actually got this for like $30. And oh yeah, and I also got like this SMG, like an SMG, like the SMG gun. Also, yeah, like also of that, also 3D printed. Um, but from another dealer that actually was selling like a lot of his stuff half priced. In fact, 50% off. He was selling his stuff, and I definitely bought. And originally, that SMG would have costed like okay $50, but he sold it half price $25. So yeah, would I use this for like a Ryo Saeba cosplay? Yeah, but I could also do GTA characters. In fact, one of these days I'm also intending to cosplay as Tommy Vercetti from Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Yeah, just buy the Hawaiian shirt, the teal green Hawaiian shirt, blue jeans, white sneakers, white shoes. Comb your hair, and yeah, and try to sound like Ray Liotta. God rest that man's soul. He was taken away too soon, and I love that guy. He was one of my favorite actors. Goodfellas. The aforementioned Vice City game. Um, there was even that movie that I liked, featuring him in a playing as an FBI agent, and of course he was teaming up with a mall cop. Um, yeah. Oh man, that one was actually a good film. Now, yeah, I mean, some people might not have liked it. Some people thought it was a Paul Mart Mall Cop ripoff, but I liked it. I mean, I did like it, but some people, again, you have your preferences, so I'm not gonna judge. Okay, but in addition to going to see like okay, like vendors selling their stuff and all that, I also went and I also went to see some cosplayers, whether it be like cosplayers doing like a small little like panel for them at a smaller stage, which yeah, they're like yeah, Energy Center, like at the Energy Center conventions, they had like two stage panels. One dedicated for like the celebrities and actors, and the other dedicated for like okay, like any smaller stuff like cosplayer community and all that. And they did had the cosplayers. In fact, one of them that I even got a chance to see was one of the well-known guest cosplayers that I got to see was none other than Peachy Pie cosplay. Um, yeah, and in case you guys don't know who that is, Peachy Pie is actually a local cosplayer here in the state of Texas. In fact, she's actually well known. In fact, she's been on the cosplay circuit throughout the years. In fact, she's very well famous. She is well popular. She actually is a very well known cosplayer. In fact, she's cosplayed the likes of Your Forger. but I did see her cosplay as Albedo from of course the Overlord from Overlord. In fact, definitely the best looking Albedo. She's done a lot of cosplays. Yeah, of course, she as well as another person that she often, of course, does cosplay content. Fairy. They actually have like a joint page known as Peachy and Fairy. Yeah, they definitely are definitely well known. In fact, they've done a lot of cosplays with other local cosplayers. She's done a lot of local stuff too. In fact, she's gone to a lot of conventions as well. Um, Anime Matsuri, uh, of course, let's see, I'm trying to remember another one. She did attended AnimeVerse in the fall edition of that event. And even Baycon as well. I mean, and yeah, and I've spoken to this. Yeah, I've spoken to Peachy before. She's actually not a bad person to talk to. In fact, she does have other content as well on you know on her social on her content as well. Like on her social media mostly that she I think she also has like a YouTube channel where she also does like she talks about like stuff um involving cosplay in the community itself. And of course, and yeah, like she's often featured in various she's often featured like in some places. In fact, you'll probably see her. In fact, if you look up Peachy Pie cosplay on YouTube, she's practically gonna be mostly around, as well as other. Yeah, yeah, she's actually a very well-known cosplayer in Houston, and as well as other, and as well as Fairy, and as well as other cosplayers. In fact, in fact, in addition, I also did see a lot of cosplayers out there. Um, what many people were cosplaying as? I did. Well, seeing as I cosplayed as Seto Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh, I did see plenty of Yu-Gi-Oh cosplayers. Specifically, I've seen my fair share of Yugi cosplayers and Yusei Fudo cosplayers, which I also happen to be a Yusei causer as well. I happen to also be a Yusei cosplayer too. In fact, a lot of my videos that I upload on YouTube, you're bound to see me wear that Yusei Fudo wig, the blue jacket, the black shirt with the red with the red the scribblings, blue jeans, the brown boots, brown gloves, the marking on the face, dual disc. Yeah, you're bound to see me on that on those videos, um, dressed up as you say. But but I do happen to know a few people who are also dressed up as you say. In fact, one of them I will mention. Their name is Dragon. Um, yeah, yeah, Dragon's actually and a huge shout out to Dragon. In fact, Dragon, if you are listening to this, then yeah, glad that I met you. I'm also glad to met that Yugi cosplayer, who I will refer to him as Will. Um, definitely, yeah, definitely, of course, hell of a great of event. Definitely great to see these guys, and I even did it. I happened to talk to these guys more than not on these conventions. I've also saw like a Cosmo and Wanda cosplayers. In fact, I've always seen those same cosplayers with the same suits. I've seen them before in various conventions, big or small. Not just like in Animeverse, but like in other cons like Collecticons, uh, TCG cons. Yeah, I've seen these Cosmo Wanda cosplayers, and honestly, I'm glad that I met them. I'm glad that I always see these guys time to time, though I forget their names. In fact, I don't even. In fact, though I don't really speak to those guys as much, but I was glad to meet uh, the Fairly Odd Parents own Cosmo and Wanda. Um, Also, I was also able to meet like, oh, in addition to meeting Kira Buckland, the voice of Tubi, I got to see a fair share of Tubi cosplayers. In fact, one of them, I did see a Tubi cosplayer alongside with a 9S cosplayer, and they were accompanied by, believe it or not, an Ash Ketchum cosplayer. So I'm like, wow, Nier Automata Pokemon crossover? Is that going to happen one day? Well, we may never know. I mean, it could happen. I mean, I mean, okay, maybe, okay, yeah, I know Pokemon may not cross over with other stuff outside of other Nintendo properties, but then again, well, then again, if you're bound to have Pikachu fighting Steve for Minecraft and Smash, maybe Tubi is not far from. Maybe Tubi might join the fight. Yeah, um, yeah, I've seen a lot of cosplayers for sure. Um, Definitely, I've also seen several Pokemon cosplayers. I've seen a lot of Ash Ketchum cosplayers mostly, but I've also seen like people dressed up like, okay, like I've seen people like dressing up in like those on like, oh yeah, those like on those like onesies based on the Pokemon characters, like what's it called? Yeah, your Gengars, your Eevee evolution variants. I've seen some of those people out there. Some I know their names because I've interacted with them very multiple times in the many conventions I've gone to with them. Well, when we meet each other at the event, or or it's just people that I've only met a bit. Yeah, I actually love to do cosplay. In fact, I always enjoy cosplaying, and hopefully one day I might sell you guys some pictures. Like I might sell you guys like, okay, like maybe like 8x10s, like at a local convention of my cosplays. Whether you be seeing me as Yusei from 5Ds, Seto Kaiba from the original, or I don't know, maybe Ryo Saeba from City Hunter, or maybe another show, Toku or anime related. Um, I've also seen some Kigurumi cosplays, and in case you guys don't know what Kigurumi cosplays are, um, yeah, ever seen some of those cosplayers that are dressed up like in like, okay, like in like fictitious looking heads, but of course they still are wearing like other like regular other costumes. Yeah. Um Technically, yeah, yeah, it's actually a part of the cosplay thing before. A lot of people have dressed up as waifu characters from other shows or movies, and others have cosplayed as yeah, I've seen like my fair share of Hatsune Mikus and all. But then I've seen like people who are dressed up like as cats, like feline, yeah, cat people. Um, yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely. I've seen like these, yeah, the anime gal Kigurumi cosplays. Like I've seen these people. Like I've seen them. Like I've only started seeing them recently this year. Like I have barely seen some of them. I mean, I have seen my fair share of furry cosplayers, like people who are dressed up as like like literal freaking wolves or foxes, and yeah, and some people dressed up like, okay, like with like big bulky like mecha cosplays, be it like a space marine costume from the Warhammer 40,000 series, or Gundam or Mobile Suit Gundam characters. Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them walking about. Um, though I haven't, though I've yet to see somebody cosplaying as a Megazord from Power Rangers of any kind, really. Hell, and the most common you'll probably see is the original Megazord from the first season. But other than that, I have seen like so many of these cosplays. Some of them, oh my god, they are great looking cosplays. In fact, whether they bought them from like a website of sorts, or oh, they made like their own wigs or other props. Oh my god, I just love their cosplays. They look nice. They are nice. Oh my god. And and if you ever want to take pictures with them, ask. Always ask, please. Always ask when you want to take pictures with these people. Okay? Okay? And also remember, cosplay is not consent. Meaning, do not grab the cosplayer ever. Try to be respectful to try to be respectful to these people now. They might dress up as characters in funny costumes, but in the end of the day, they're people just like you and me. Okay? Don't just be respectful is all I ask. Okay? That's the Astro Time 94 public service announcement. Be respectful towards other cosplayers out there, especially in conventions. Be very respectful. It's not rocket science. Being respectful should always be considerable, okay? Just be respectful. That's all I am asking from you guys. That's all I will ever tell you. Just be respectful to these people, okay? And so that is the end of Animeverse 2025. Just a look back at the event. I had overall, all in all, I had fun. It was a great convention. And if you ever got, I mean, and of course, Animeverse does happen to have several other conventions also happening later on this year. Not just around Texas, but not just around nearby the Houston and surrounding areas of Houston, but there's also going to be like other conventions in like I think in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Um, Animeverse Chattanooga. Sorry if I don't pronounce that name right. I can only pronounce Gallatin, Memphis, Nashville, Johnson City. But Chattanooga, probably not the best city I could pronounce in when it comes down to the Tennessee cities or towns. But, my dear friends, my dear listeners, but yeah, they are also, but the same people who have done Animeverse will also be doing WrestleVerse Fest. Yeah, they are also doing wrestling convention. Yeah, they're also going to be doing a wrestling convention too. Um, some of it featuring some of it featuring WWE Hall of Famers or wrestlers out there who are well known, but you don't. But they're not in like okay, but they're not like okay a part. But they're not like a part of like any big promotion. But they are well known. So guys like Booker T, who are WWE Hall of Famers, Mickey James, who I hope one day she is a WWE Hall of Famer. She's a WWE legend and TNA legend, damn it. And I've met her before. She's actually nice people. Oh my god. Also other names like Rikishi, who I've only seen him but when he actually paid Erica Schroeder a visit as he was coming by behind the boots. yeah, Rikishi was just saying hi to Erica. In fact, yeah, and I actually was like, oh my god, I was already starstruck because we got the former Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion in the house. And yes, he was. And yeah, Rikishi was just in his regular clothes, in just his normal, in just like normal clothing. He was not in his wrestling gear, and no, he was not giving people stink faces. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm still laughing at that time Booker T got stink faced by Rikishi and he puked on Michael Cole. Oh my god, that is so fucking funny. Okay, well, it's it was part of the show. It was part of the show. Did not okay, it was part of the show. But yeah, and also, oh, and speaking of wrestlers, Sting will be coming by, but not to, but technically he might, well, he will probably show up at the WrestleVerse, but he's also going to be attending another convention also made by the AnimeVerse people, and that would be Houston Celebrity Comic Con. Yeah, it is a very long title, but yeah, the Stinger, former WCW TNA World Champion, he is going to be at the event. So is a lot of other guests, and I'm going to take a little bit of drink of water because you can never go without water in life. And yeah, that was a slam dunk to the right, straight to the garbage, straight to my garbage can. Um, so yeah, yeah, it's take that, James Harden. Anyways, so yeah, definitely. Oh, and as well as this, I do intend to go to other conventions. In fact, later on in April, I will be probably going to Collecticon Houston at Georgia Brown, um, Tokyo X in June, back at NRG, uh, back at Georgia Brown, back at Georgia Brown as well in August for of course, NostalgiaCon Houston 2025. Um, also, yeah, which, yeah, Philip J. Fry himself will be making an appearance. Billy West. So, yeah, I cannot wait to see him. I hope to see other people that I also like. But, bit, bit, also the October edition of Collecticon Houston 2025. Yeah, there will be two Collecticon Houstons. But one held in 2 months' time in April, and another one in October. Uh, oh, and Houston City Comic Con, Houston Celebrity Comic Con, that will be on late September. At the NRG Center, and I hope to go to some of these conventions, folks, because definitely I love going to these cons. Whether I be getting an autograph from a celebrity, from one of my favorite actors or well-known people, or I just happen to want to see some fellow cosplayers, or might buy something from the art booths, or action figures or whatever, or trading cards. But yeah, okay, so I will conclude the convention talk and I will move on. Well, actually, I will talk about one more topic. Okay, and this is a convention that happened not in not like where I live, but happens to be at a con in Maryland. KatsuCon. Which took place in Oxon Hill, Maryland. In fact, Oxon Hill, Maryland. That was when KatsuCon was held. Um, and people will remember for this 2025 show for one particular thing at for it. And what happened was that people will remember this COD for Well, probably one of the more unfortunate things that could happen to anyone. No, and no, I'm not talking about like okay, and no, I am not okay, and no, it is not somebody getting hurt physically, or they were verbally assaulted, or they were harassed. No, it wasn't like and definitely and no, definitely this one was not. Oh, and definitely nobody pulled out an actual gun and or an actual like firearm and decided to to go at it against people. No, instead it was more like it was more to do with okay, it had to do more with a drainage pipe from like upstairs, like from above the ceiling. Like with some convention centers, they will always happen to have like two floors. Um, the first floor being the bigger halls, and the second floor, well, other stuff like kitchens, other stuff like maybe like a restaurant or whatever. But but when it comes down to it, like a pipe like a pipe that actually had like a pipe that actually would drain water from like one of the sinks would actually burst. Some people thought it was like like raw sewage. Like oh my god, let me guess. It was like oh my god, yep, definitely, yeah, definitely someone's yeah, definitely what came from the toilets definitely spilled on something. But it was actually just sink water. The worst that could happen was, oh yeah, people washing their hand. Oh yeah, the water from the people who washed their hands after the use of restrooms, which you should always wash your hands, folks. It is not okay. It is not rocket science. It is not difficult. Wash your frickin' hands. Okay, I shouldn't say frickin', but wash your hands for goodness sakes. I mean, watch. I'm not gonna shake your hand or give you a high five or a fist bump if you don't clean your hands. I mean, it's not that I'm germophobic. It's more like seriously, dude, wash your hands. Okay? Okay, not everyone is like me, not germophobic. And even then I don't and even then Lord knows what kind of stuff you Lord knows what you did with your hands. I mean seriously, hell, I don't even want to shake hands with somebody who just who just of course who just finished a plate of wings, a plate of hot wings, and yeah, and a lot of hot sauce is still stuck in their hands. Like wash your hands, water, soap, wash your hands for at least like a few seconds. And as well as this, when you're done, grab a nap like grab like the tissue paper that they happen to have like right next to the sink. Like take a few sheets of it and dry yourself with it, or use the big dry, yeah, or use one of those auto dryers or those dryers that you push with a button, and there you go. So yeah, but other than that, though, the Katsukan pipe, what did it damage though at that event? Well, for starters, the worst that it did, what the worst that the pipe leak happened was it destroy. Yeah, it definitely damaged a an art booth, like an art dealer's booth. Um, Yeah, like so, like they were able to still sell, like they were still able to sell stuff that they could still sell, that the water never landed. But some of the stuff got like some of their stuff, like mostly the stuff on display, it got destroyed because of the pipe burst. Yeah, a very unfortunate set of circumstances that happened, and um, but luckily no one got luckily no one got wet or got hurt or anything like that, apart from maybe the dealers. Apart from maybe what the apart from like maybe the dealers like probably their feelings in regards to what happened. But I mean, yeah, I mean emotional pain, but probably not But I mean, hell, if there was still stuff that you could still sell, then well, hey, then hey, at least take advantage of it. Otherwise, yeah, it really is yeah, it's really a shame it happened to you. Other than that I can say, that I have, that I can say without question. Yeah, very unfortunate to happen to someone like that, especially that that person was probably that person was gonna make money or something. But anyways, so with that, but I do want to at least, of course, I do want to say this as well. So yeah, we're gonna move on to a new topic. Um, okay, so a huge happy birthday to Dan Green. Dan Green, um, better known as James Hadley Snyder. Dan Green. Um, this month happens to be his birthday. Um, Technically, his birthday was on. Some people say it was February 7th that his birthday happened, but but some people say that that he was born in that he was born on February 15th. So yeah, um, whichever day, in fact, whichever source had it right, regardless, Dan Green, he celebrates his 50th birthday this year. In fact, he was born in 1975. Uh, yeah, and of course, Dan Green, he's the voice of Yugi Moto and the Pharaoh from the popular anime Yu-Gi-Oh. He was also the voice for Mewtwo in Pokemon, in the various Pokemon series, and and movies as well, and as well as Kimba the Lion from the Emperor Leo Kimba movie, and as well as other characters out there, as well as other shows or movies out there. In fact, there are so many of them. In fact, he even also voiced a few. Yeah, he also, of course, voiced other character, Jungle Emperor Leo. Excuse me. Um, yeah, he voiced a lot of characters in various popular animes or shows, but as well as he also provided the voices of other TV shows, or other like he like for other properties that are not anime but still came from other countries. He did voice. He was a voice actor for. Like, he provided yeah, he had he was English voice actor for the for like a Japanese horror movie, Machine Girl. Yeah, and probably the first time I ever heard Dan Green cuss at him, like he said like a profanity. Um, yeah, yeah, he would go, and now you bitches, like holy shit, he said that word. Oh my god, that is fucking crazy. And yeah, I mean, I swear too, but like, oh my god, I never knew that the voice behind Knuckles and Yugi actually had a actually did a good job at having a bit of a potty mouth. I mean, okay, well, he doesn't really like the guy doesn't really like cuss. I mean, there's at times where he might cuss in some content, but yeah, Dan Green, other than that, he actually has done a lot of he dubbed over movies. He's done a lot of stuff, movies, TV shows, live action stuff. Hell, even and yeah, he did a lot of content. Like he's done a lot of animation, and he's done live action dubs of dubs of live action shows and everything. I mean, yeah, I mean, and I was glad to meet him in various conventions. Well, all of them being Collecticon. I've met him 3 times. Collecticon 2023 at Houston, George R. Brown, in November of that year. April 2024, I've met him again. I even also went to the Yu-Gi-Oh panel. Not the one that I recorded. That one was this. That one was like the November edition of that con. And yeah, and the aforementioned November 2024 Collecticon show. I'm glad. I was glad. I'm happy. I am happy to say I am glad to meet the King of Games. I am glad to meet Knuckles the Echidna. I'm glad that I met Mewtwo. I'm glad that I met Dan Green. Dan Green, he is basically one of my favorite voice actors of all time, alongside with a lot of other actors. Not all, I mean, yeah, some of them are from Four Kids, but also, some of them were from other dubbing studios as well, um, or other voice acting studios as well. So yeah, a huge happy birthday to Dan Green. Okay, so there is one thing that I want to do as well. And okay, so if you guys are ever planning to go to a convention in the near future, whether it be okay, hey, I want to go to this con this weekend, or oh, hey, I want to go to this con this month or next month or next year, depending on what you want to do. Um, of course, I will give you guys probably my 5 things that you need at a convention. This is just my top. Yeah, this is just like my normal top 5 list, and I'm gonna go brief on some of these because definitely there's a lot, but I will still nonetheless say something important on these entries. So, but yeah, um, but of course, honorable mention. You do need like okay the proof of purchase of your ticket, or at least have bought a ticket or are buying the ticket. Mostly, if you're gonna go to a convention, always buy the tickets beforehand. Buy them. Um, Unless there's some conventions that are for free and yeah, anyone can enter, or the convention security is super lenient, or like the volunteers just let anybody in all willy nilly. Um, yeah, always buy the tickets because always buy like a ticket on always buy like a ticket or badge either online, or if you are buying it in person. uh yeah, it's gonna be a long wait, but yeah, you might as well do so, because of course, especially that there are some tickets out there that cost a lot more money. In fact, there's always gonna be like some of the higher costing tickets, mostly because they have different things to provide you for those tickets, such as a fast pass for actors that you want to meet. So yeah, like you could always skip the general line, and yeah, you have the VIP pass, and like oh yeah, yeah, you'll get an easier, faster access, or or better yet, you can enter a few minutes earlier than the general admission guys, or or you might buy a ticket that of course you could access for like 2 days, 2 or 3 days, depending on how long the convention will be, and depending on what weekend, or depending on the weekend involving that con, because well, some conventions actually they might do 3-day weekends, kind of like AnimeVerse 2025 at NRG this year, or 4-day weekends. One that I remember back then was the 2015 Comic Palooza. I did go there once upon a time, but this was before I did any like content and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, and yeah, that was like the one time I ever gone to a con back then. Um, and yeah, and of course and it happened to be a 4-day weekend. So yeah, it was like available on Friday, but then there was Saturday, Sunday, your the weekends, the days of the weekend, and Memorial Day Monday that year. Um, yeah, it was not a bad. Yeah, I did go to the Monday event, but I only got like a free ticket from it. But only because I won it I won it like in a local TV contest of sorts. But anyhow, but yeah, like in a raffle contest of sorts, like for free. But anyways, always buy tickets. Always have the ticket ready, or at least the ticket stub, so that way they could give you like the pat, like the badge pass, or or the wristbands that will indicate that yeah yeah you're going to this event. But so yeah, but at least buy the tickets. That's the honorable mention. It's a very important one too. But of course, here are my actual top 5 things that you need at a convention. Number 5, obviously, it will be money for stuff for like okay, like an autograph from one of the voice actors. Um, Maybe like you want to buy like action figures from your favorite show or anime. What else? Or popular stuff like be it a Funko Pop or a actual licensed product, or or something that, or at least like or like like art, like fan art or official artist, or like an artist making like okay like cool art based on a character that you like, or even the cosplayers boots, which they often do sell stuff like that too. um yeah, always have money. In fact, the best thing that I do in terms of doing this is simple. In terms of money, like gather at least $100 a week, like at least like a few weeks before the convention, or at least the previous month, or at least you're 1 month ahead. You're 1 month away, excuse me, for that convention. So my best advice is just put away $100 of your hard-earned money, um, like on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, depending on what you want to do. Set like a budget for like what would happen. Like I would always like have like a $500 budget for like some cons, or yeah, like definitely that like. But I mean, you could always do less if you don't have much money, which is okay. But regardless, always have money with you. Um, Also, oh yeah, and as well as this, there's some places that, oh yeah, there's gonna be like some parts of the convention center that won't allow you to use physical money. So you would have to pay with card. So if you happen to have like a bank card or a credit card, or like a debit card of sorts, yeah, that is always friendly. Yeah, that's always useful. Have something of legal tender to use to make purchases. At number 4, have a schedule for your convention. Have a schedule prepared for a convention, because whether you're going to be there all day, or you're only going to be there for like a few hours, always have a schedule. Like always make sure like check on the day, like on the day of the event that you're going. What panels are you going to attend? Like oh hey, you're gonna attend, like okay, like for instance, like if I wanted to go and Oh, and see Erica Schroeder, Greg Abbey, and okay, just and by the way, that's just naming examples. Erica Schroeder, Greg Abbey, Wayne Grayson, either yeah, in a Yu-Gi-Oh panel, or Joshua Seth in his own panel, be it a Digimon panel or just his own thing, or Troy Baker in his own panel like I did this year. Um yeah, always write the time of that write the time on the write the time or type it in if you're going to use like a computer or on your phone on your notes, and of course at that time, and of course set that for your schedule. That yeah, you'll be meeting actor X at 11 in the like at 11 a.m. or 12 at noon or or 1 in the afternoon. Um, as well as of course, if you wanted to meet like a specific actor in their booth, then yeah, you can make that time for them too. So yeah, definitely yeah. So yeah, always check on the conventions like websites or their social medias to make sure that oh yeah, hey, this event will happen this week, or this will happen at that time, or yeah, actor X will be doing this panel, or actor X, Y, and Z will be doing a TV show panel this weekend too. So yeah, always check on the panels on their website, socials, whatever. Um, so yeah, be it the convention that they're going, or of course the actors themselves. Number three, a well charged phone. Yes, because you're gonna need a smartphone. Whether you're gonna be taking selfies with other people, guests, celebrities, all that. Yeah, always take pic. Yeah, always have a well charged phone, because yeah, at least have your battery at like 80 or 90 or 100%. Because sometimes, or if not, at least bring a charger with you, a USB charger. Always bring like your charger with you, because because you may never know what could happen to your phone if the battery dies out all of a sudden. That is something you don't want to deal with, and of course, you do need that phone to make contact with people, or unless you know the contacts by heart, or if you have them like in an emergency thing of sorts, and of course you might ask someone, hey, can I use your phone to for 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 an emergency call. I mean, they might, especially in these times where there's no such thing as where, especially in today's world where phone booths are no longer a thing. They used to be a common occurrence, but because everybody has a phone, yeah, even then there could still be disadvantages. Like, oh yeah, like suddenly your battery die, or the phone itself breaks. Yeah, at least ask if you at least ask somebody for a phone that they can use to make contact with the person that you want to talk to in case of an emergency. Number two, definitely have like a small snack, or a bottle of water, or sometimes people just bring like a can or bottle of Coke or an energy drink of sorts. Whatever you do, because yeah, like some like okay, there will be like okay, the convention centers themselves would often sell you drinks, but just note that they're gonna be a little bit expensive. Say like $30, or not $30, like fuck no, like $5 for a bottle of water. Do you want to spend $5 on water? No? Then try to bring a bottle of water from home, or go to a convenience store that might cost that the bottle of water or drink might, or drink of choice might actually cost a little less. Sometimes they might, like at times there might be convention panel, like some convention events might tell you, do not bring any drinks to the event, because they do have policies at times. But yeah, always make sure. But yeah, I mean, maybe a bottle of water, sure. I mean, especially one like the one I have here. Like I always drink like this bottle, like and any bottle of water you could buy at the store or whatever, or at least like a or packs of it. Just put it like in your backpack, or at least have it with you in person when you're waiting. And of course, yeah, and if they tell you that yeah, you can't bring foreign drink, just finish it up as possible, and then once you're done with the can and all that, well, just throw it into the trash can. They might have it ready for you. So yeah, just prepare for yourself. Like at least like have like a like water or snack or like a small snack, because of course, yeah, definitely like maybe a candy bar of sorts. Yeah, because yeah, it's gonna be yeah. There's gonna be a lot of yeah. You're gonna be doing a lot of movement and all that at the event because there's so much you want to see, but it takes energy away. And also, and another honorable mention: at least take breaks from when you're going to these cons, or at least take a break when inside of a convention. Like sit down in a chair, just take a bit of a breather. I mean, you have plenty of time. Just try to take it easy. Take it easy with your legs. You only have one body. Learn to use the body carefully. And of course, number one is always have a ride to go uh to the event, or after the event you go home. Yeah, always have a ride with you. Um some of us have cars, others have somebody else that they can count on to call and pick them up, or in some cases, people might have Uber rides. Excuse me, drinking water again. But nonetheless, yeah, um, always have the means of transportation. Hell, take the bus, call an Uber ride or whatever. But regardless, make sure that you have a ride to from home. Um, to from the convention and home, because yeah, or if you're traveling with someone, then yeah, then yeah, make sure when they yeah make sure then yeah make sure that when that person leaves, by all means, yeah, have that ready. So yeah, always have a means of transportation. Hell, you could take a bus home, or if you live like nearby, like, or if you happen to live like nearby, or you happen to go to like a convention center, or if you happen to be nearby a hotel that you stayed at a convention. Yeah, that's also always a possibility. Um, but other than that, like I always just like take an Uber ride. Um, yeah, especially that many of them are affordable, and they even have promotional codes, or they have like promotions that they're running right now at times. So yeah, but whatever you do, have the means of travel. Have the means of traveling to the events, to a convention. Like if you are going to a convention that's far away, at least make sure that you plan your travel ahead of time, because well, yeah, like if you're going like to like a place like Dallas or Nashville, or a place that or a part of the world that you're not that familiar with, at least have things prepared ahead of time, because going to a convention is actually very important. Actually, going to a convention is actually great, but it's also very important to have the means of transportation, at least some money saved ahead of time, schedule a schedule for your convention that you want to do some things and all that. A phone, yeah, and your phone always being well charged. Make sure you don't waste the battery as much. Um, and hell, at least have like a small snack or food, or like a small snack or water. You know, make sure, because of course those are some, yeah, and those are just some things that I have mentioned. There are other things that I can mention too, but for now, that's just my top five. Um, so yeah, definitely. So yeah, oh yeah, try to at least take some advice from these things. All right. Okay, so I guess we'll close it for today's episode. And Oh yeah, and once again, I do happen to have a Patreon at AstroTide94. Yeah, I happen to have a Patreon, AstroTide94, if you want to check that out. Uh, Coffee, AstroTide94. Um, if you want to donate to the, or if you want to support me financially in a way, um, Patreon, as I said, I happen to have the three tiers. $1 tier, um, $5 tier, and $10 tier. Whatever you want to give me, that's fine. I'm good. I'm good with that. In fact, you'd be supporting this channel and a lot of content that goes to it. My coffee, of course. You could donate $3 if you want. Like you could buy me a coffee like for $3 on the site, or you can help me out with goals that I want to actually have, be it like, okay, new technology upgrades that I want to make, or other stuff, and or like, oh, like a cosplay that I intend to do in the near future. There's always those things to consider. So yeah, and of course, today's closing comments on this one will be this. Um, yeah, you should go to some conventions at some point. Yeah, you should at least go to an anime convention or a Toku convention or a comic book convention. Does not matter how big or small the con is. You should actually see what kind of what's happening in the world of pop culture. It's definitely a fun event. Definitely, these places are fun to go, but always be respectful to those around you because they too want to have fun, but try it. And of course you and them want to at least get along with one another. Yeah, and also be considerate. Also try to be very considerate about cosplayers as well. Be very be very thoughtful. Please be careful with these people. N- And of course, yeah, just a notification. And always, yeah, and just keep your hands to yourself, okay? If you want to take pictures with a cosplayer, ask. And if they say yes, you may do so. If you're not, then then respect their wishes. Okay? It's okay to say no. And it's okay to say no. Oh folks, in fact, and as well as this, make sure. And of course, and if somebody tells you no, then you must comply to that request. If they reject it, just move on, okay? Do not bother that person. Try to be respectful. We're all we're all human beings here and we're all in this together, all right? So, with that being said, my name is AstroTide94. I will see you guys next time, and remember, please be very kind to one another, and next time I might talk about maybe an anime or toku show. All right? Till then, I'll see you guys next time.